In Crichton's first Jurassic Park novel, a character by the name of Ed Regis exists and is featured heavily early on as the park's public relations manager. This character would be featured in Crichton's first draft of his adapted screenplay for Steven Spielberg to shoot. However, David Koepp's rewrite cut the character out and instead gave his attributes to the infamous Jurassic Park lawyer, Donald Gennaro. Interestingly, with Michael Crichton adapting his own novel to the screen, it's curious to note that the author actually wrote Donald Gennaro out of the film entirely, while Koepp would come in and do the same to Regis. Gennaro's book counterpart is far different from the film version, with the character actually being depicted as a burly man capable of fighting a velociraptor with his bare hands. For reasons understandable though, the lawyer's characteristics in the film were taken from the public relations manager, who acted identical to Gennaro in the ways he's depicted in the first film. Ed Regis is one of the characters from the novel with an incredibly dark death scene, and one that has personally stayed with me ever since I read the first book back when I was around 11 years old. After the Tyrannosaur breakout attack on the main road, Regis comes out from his cover in the bushes and attempts to piece his life back together after the horrible experience. He feels guilty for leaving Lex and Tim, but was terrified of the T-Rex and the thought of what it could do to him. Regis has unfortunately had his body covered in leeches while hiding in the foliage after the attack, and contemplates how terrible it would be to have a sucker in one of his more private areas. Much to the man's surprise, while he's picking off several of the parasites, Regis hears Lex calling for Dr. Grant in the distance, and comes to the conclusion that the others must have survived their ordeal with the Tyrannosaur as well. This gives Regis somewhat of a small moment of relief, with the thought that the surrounding area must be safe again. However, when Lex's cries cease to be heard, the man becomes interested in making his way back to the camp instead of meeting up with the other survivors, as the reality that the Rex still may be near haunts him enough to make tracks. Ed Regis then begins to walk down the road back to the park and is watched by Alan, Lex, and Tim in the surrounding jungle. They lose sight of the man for a small duration of time before finding him pressed against a tree, motionless in the moonlight. The noises of the forest quickly end, and the Juvenile Tyrannosaur steps into the road, near from where Regis is hiding. This Juvenile Tyrannosaur wasn't featured in the film, yet still plays a moderately frequent role in the book. The animal is 8 feet tall and walks rather clumsily, with a description of a puppy's gait. After the T-Rex moves on and the jungle noises come back, Regis decides it's safe to begin his journey again, and after taking a few paces, is knocked down by the juvenile Rex. The animal roars at the small man, and Regis begins to shout at the dinosaur, attempting to shoo it away. The Rex picks its foot up off of Ed's chest and looks curiously at this noisy animal. Regis again tells the dinosaur to go away and starts to walk back down to the camp again, only to be knocked down a second time by the Tyrannosaur. This time the Rex waits for Regis to get up and start shouting at him again. This leads Grant to the realization that the juvenile is playing with him, and after being knocked down a final time, the scientist and the kids witness the round head of the creature come down to Regis' body and hear a terrible piercing scream emit from the pinned park worker. The dinosaur's head lifts, revealing the flesh it's just ripped from its prey. Tim starts to feel nauseous and takes off his night vision goggles, giving off a metallic noise loud enough for the juvenile to hear. And as soon as the Rex turns its head in the direction of the surviving visitors, Grant grabs the children's hands and begins to run. This particular scene wasn't featured in the first Jurassic Park film and has been retooled somewhat in other dinosaur kills in the series to match a similar outcome. Nedry's Dilophosaurus encounter plays out somewhat like this part featured in the novel, and even Dieter Stark's death had a very cat and mouse aesthetic to it. Ed Regis, being such a cowardly PR guy, seems to have been given a fitting death in the novel as punishment for leaving the children, and it's an interesting scene I'd love to see show up in a newer film. Not that many people know about this character, so I figured it'd be a pretty cool idea to do a video on him. I want to thank all of you for watching this video, and hope you've enjoyed today's content. If you feel like I deserved it, I would appreciate a like, and hope you all subscribe so that you can see me again. I'll see you all in the next video, and as always guys, take it easy.